TubeTech PE1C and ME1B are two separate hardware EQs that can work independently or together to sculpt your frequencies with the tube-driven passive sound quality that has become synonymous with TubeTech. In order to properly use each one of the EQs, it's important to understand that each one's separated into three different sections. The PE1C starts with the low frequency area that allows you to boost and attenuate a selectable frequency. You select the frequency here, and you could boost or attenuate it here. By boosting and attenuating at the same time, you'll find that there's a slightly different curve, and it can kind of tighten up that boost and make it really clear. You have a high frequency section that allows you to boost a selectable frequency. You select the frequency here, you boost here, and then you can select the bandwidth here. By adjusting the bandwidth, you can make it broad so you don't get a whistly sound, or you could keep it nice and sharp to focus on a specific frequency. You're able to attenuate a frequency right here, and you select that frequency up on this top right side. Let's listen to what this sounds like across a bass track. Low frequency gets nice and big, but it doesn't get out of control. The high frequency allowed me to get a little bit more distortion and growl out of the bass, and I was able to control that with the sharp and broad bandwidth knob. We know there's not much going on in that upper register. Let's attenuate at 5K. Now let's listen as we bypass and re-engage the PE1C. Let's take a look at how we could use some similar ideas across our kick drum. Let's give a nice boost and find a good frequency. 30 gives a nice low end, and let's clean it up so it doesn't become unruly. Yeah, that tightens it up. Now let's get a little bit more snap out of that beater. 5K is nice. Let's just widen that a tiny bit. And we know there's nothing going on in that 20K region, so let's attenuate up there. Let's listen to our kick drum before and after. Now let's take a look at the snare drum, and we're going to use the ME1B, which is a mid-range equalizer. This one's a little easier to understand. We have a peak on the left side, and the frequency can be selected here. We also have a peak on the right side, and the frequency can be selected here. So the left and the right side allow us to boost. This middle part marked dip is our cut. So as I bring the knob up to 10, we're actually going to cut at the selected frequency here. Let's see how we could use this on our snare drum. I don't like what's going on at 700 Hertz, so I'm actually going to use the dip at 700 Hertz to clean that up. Let's see if we could widen the low end of the snare. That's much better. And then let's get a little more snap out of that snare. Listen to the snare, bypassed and engaged. So let's see how we could clean up our guitars. I have both units put across one of my guitar buses. Now we've cleaned up the mids, let's see how we could use the PE1C to tighten up the low end and open up the top even more. We have different guitar bus here, and for this one, I want to address different frequencies so that when we put them together, our entire mix sounds bigger. Now listen as I bypass and re-engage the TubeTech Equalizer collection across all of our selected channels and buses that we just discussed. When surgical EQs can't give you the sound you need to fatten your tracks, the TubeTech Equalizer collection gives you saturation, width, and a vibe. Sculpt your frequencies with unique curves and passive tube-driven circuits that make your next EQ choice a musical one.